What's up, Billy? I hope you're having a beautiful day today, and we're super excited. As you can see, it's just me sitting here. So we're going to do something different. It's the holiday week, and I don't know if we're actually going to get a podcast recorded in time. So I decided I'm going to do a solo Q&A. Now, the way I did this, I asked on Patreon, I asked on YouTube, and I asked on the podcast YouTube for questions. And the hard-hitting questions, the things, the burning desire for things that you want to know about me and possibly the crew. And 90% of you decided to ask, when is the show that you like most going to be reacted to? So a big old blanket answer. If we want to, we will eventually. If we don't want to, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll stream it if we're interested. That's that, you know. So if you asked about any show, movie, whatever, or are you going to react to this? The answer is maybe. And so hopefully that's good enough for you, because it's going to have to be, because I don't have a deeper answer than that, because we already have our schedules set through the next month. And yeah, that's kind of it. Now, you know, certain shows that some of you want us to see pick back up, maybe we will. Maybe we won't. We're just going to have to check the vibe. But first question right off the bat from Pixie, this is from the Patreon. Would you rather wear socks and sandals with every single outfit every day for a year, or Crocs with every single outfit every day for a year? Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, your boy needs socks with Crocs. That's why they rhyme. They're supposed to be worn together. I hate the way Crocs feel barefooted, like the rubber against my foot or whatever foam, whatever Crocs are. It's not a vibe. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. You got to have socks. So if I'm allowed to wear socks with the Crocs, then Crocs with the outfit for the year, because Crocs guard the toes. And I'm telling you, like, you be going places, you accidentally kicking stuff, you got to guard the toes. It's incredibly, incredibly important. Every time I see someone like wearing sandals or flip flops now, it's like, bro, I know they're going to stub that bad boy, and I know it's going to hurt, and they're going to wish they were wearing Crocs. Plus, Crocs have like really cool designs now, so there's that. All right, this one, another Patreon. We'll probably hop back and forth here, but we'll get the first couple from Patreon, because you guys are the ones that make all this possible. Patreon.com/sorta-stupid. If you're very curious about that, you get the podcast and all the reactions early. How did you meet the others? So this is a funny story. We all, our backgrounds, mine, Ruff, Bree, Eric's, our stream backgrounds are all Mixer. Originally Beam.pro, became Mixer.com. I was a pretty early adopter on Beam. I was one of the first 100 partners. I was one of the first 5 people on the entire website to hit 100,000 followers. And so, you know, I did some YouTube, a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of streaming on Twitch before then, but everything was on Mixer. Everybody else streamed on Mixer. But funnily enough, we knew of each other, right? We knew of the existence of the others. And they were all friends, like Ruff, Bree, Eric, were all buddies. I think, I'm not sure, Ruff and Bree, I think they said they've been together 6 years. And I'm the new guy. It's one of those things, like I said, I streamed on Mixer. I met Ruff at a convention one time, but he had his friend group. I had my friend group. It was very much like a walking by, shaking hands, like, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, game recognizes game. And going on about our day, right? And so a couple years later, moved down the line. Mixer's kind of shuttering. Ruff starts doing reactions. I see the reactions are doing well, and I'm like, man, you know what? Let me try that. I want to give it a go. You know, if that doesn't work, I'll still stream on Twitch, but it's probably time to get like a job, because at the time I was streaming full time. And so I started doing reactions. I guess Ruff noticed and saw I was doing pretty well with them. Invited me to be on the podcast they had at the time, which was an anime podcast. We vibed. It went really, really well. The audience liked me. The community liked me. And so, God, how'd it go then? I either did a Saturday morning cartoons with Eric and H-Man, or I did Classroom of the Elite with Eric and Ruff. I can't remember which one was first. Anyway, that went really, really well. And it was a big hit on the channel, the Classroom of the Elite. The Saturday morning cartoons, not so much. But it's one of those things, because at the time they were mostly known for anime. And so your boy, and let me go ahead and tell you, success so many times is about putting yourself out there, right? The world doesn't come looking for you if you're staying in your house. And if you're staying to yourself. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying if you want to be able to get yourself out there, you got to put yourself out there. And so I knew what I was doing. It was a bit nefarious on my point, strokes, twirls mustache, where I put on Twitter, man, I love reacting to stuff solo. I really want to try group stuff one day. And probably within 12 hours, I had a message from Ruff and it said, hey man, we vibe a lot. Me and Eric talked about it. We want to bring you on to Nani no Anime before it was sort of stupid. And we want to make you an owner, and kind of stuff, right? That led to a 10-minute conversation of, hell yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's do it. And, here we are at almost 3 years later, 350,000 subscribers later. It's working out pretty well. Those guys, I'm closer to them than about anyone else in my life. And so, yeah, we get along really well. And it just, you just have to put yourself out there and hope like the people you meet vibe with. And when you do vibe with people, like hit the gas, All right, let's move on to another platform, shall we? I think this is off the Sort of Stupid podcast YouTube. And this is from 100 Dragonmations. No, Dragonmations. 100 Dragonmations. Sorry if I'm butchering that. What are the new plans changes for Sort of Stupid in 2025? Probably going to be covering, once again, like kind of like a blanket thing for probably some other questions as well. The comic, of course. Billy Ends the World. You guys should check it out. It's on Toppings Webtoons. We post on the main YouTube page. We post on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere. And it's Billy Ends the World. That's probably the biggest one. Another big one is wanting to get the podcast out there more, right? Like we all think, for the most part, especially me and Bree, we have a lot of faith in the podcast and the ability to grow the podcast and the idea that the podcast can be one of the biggest things we do. So like more advertisement for it, trying to figure out ways to share it. If you want to share it, hey, by all means, 5 stars on the Spotify, tell your friends about it, not going to be mad. Just saying. But besides that, I don't want to get, there are some things, there's not too many that I can't talk about. I feel like, it's not like anything secret is super happening. We are planning things like, I guess you could call them more personality-based YouTube videos. We recorded a Ninja Turtles video for my birthday. That was December 18th. That way, it's not filled with happy birthdays. It was by the time you're watching this, it would have been almost probably a month ago, because I don't know, this will probably go out sometime early January. So we recorded this thing where it's like Ruff, without mine and Eric's knowledge, bought very cheap Ninja Turtle stuff to all the way to like a very expensive Ninja Turtle thing, and everything in between, right? And of course, I'm sitting there nerding out about telling everybody about turtle history and stuff like that. But we plan to do that with certain IPs and things like that. And yeah, so it's a lot more videos like that, more plans around the podcast, the comic, of course. And we are in no way putting eggs in this basket at all. We, of course, want to get a pilot animation for the podcast. We know it's a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. That's not something that we're like trying to rush anyway, as we want to get out as many chapters of the comic beforehand. So yeah, it's on the list. It's on the to-do list. And of course, reactions, right? That's what got us to the dance. That's what keeps us dancing. Those are in no way slowing down, if not more and more. Especially bigger ones, right? Like longer movies. And for so long, we were just so strapped for time that like a lot of the movies we watched were mostly based on how long they were. It's like, oh, I only have like 2 hours before I got to go home kind of thing. Sorry, I'm still like 5% under the weather. So if I'm a little snotty, I apologize. So like a lot of the things we did were like, okay, this is an hour and 40-minute movie. We have time to do this movie. I know a lot of people are like, you watch TV and movies for a living. How can you not make the time? Well, it's one of those things. We work an actual work day. We have other projects we want to do, and we do have family. We have family that needs our help and wants us home. So, we are human. and along with the human, time constraints follow along with it, right? And I'm assuming you all understand. The community is very chill. Let us see. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Adrian. Was it hard to move across the country, and how hard was it adapting to your new home? Also, how are you? Hope you were great. Adrian, I hope you're great as well. Hope you're all great. Moving across the country was very hard. It was one of those things. I left on like December 31st or January 1st to move to Texas from North Carolina. Packed as much. I used to own a RAV4. That's what got me here. Packed as much stuff into that little SUV as I could, and hit the road with my sister and my brother-in-law, right? Because my sister was terrified that I couldn't make the drive by myself. I could. It's fine. But no, it was very hard. You know, that was a 19-hour drive, or, you know, roughly 21 hours, and take a long breaks and stuff like that, right? And staying overnight. I think we stopped somewhere in Louisiana. But adjusting to the new home, like, you know, it's one of those things. It's like new allergies, new climate, new things to get used to, right? I actually do kind of like Texas for the most part, for the idea, because since I'm right outside of Austin, and growing up I was right outside of Charlotte, so it's like, you know, having a bigger city where you can go to pretty easily and always have stuff to do helps, right? Like, I'm 2 hours from Houston. An hour from San Antonio. So if I want to go see a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game, I'm not far from any of that stuff. And you know, that's pretty good for me. That makes me happy because, you know, your boy loves sports. And so, like, adapting to the new home, like, Texas does feel like it is 10 years behind a lot of other places, especially North Carolina, ironically, even though it is a southern state. It feels like Texas has a way to go. It's hard to explain how. It's just like little things, especially like infrastructure and stuff like that. They just seem like they're not hip with it quite yet, but, you know, it's coming along, man. They're pushing forward. All right, let's pick another one from, that was two from the podcast channel. Let's pick from the main channel. And this is from Mewium. And they have a handful, and this is probably actually going to, well, let's see. How did y'all meet? From Sorta Stupid. Okay, we already covered that. From separate recording space to an office. Yeah, you know, same way we just discussed. Major goals, kind of like what we discussed for the new year. Do you have something that you've produced, released, etc., that you're proudest of? Yeah, the podcast. I love the podcast. It is my favorite thing we do. Mostly because it's just the friends getting to sit down and talk about the things we do want to talk about on videos, but we mostly can't because that would kill time. So it's the ability to sit down and actually have a conversation with the people you like the most, and just chat it out and goof off and have fun, you know, and that's the way I see it. You know, it's a way to showcase like us being us as opposed to us watching something, right? How do you decide what to react to or play? Probably more of a decision than you would think goes into it. A lot of times we have an idea. We'll look it up. We'll look at the statistics. We'll look at whether it has longevity, whether it would fit within the parameters of kind of what our viewership is and what our community likes. And then we would decide whether or not to give it a go. Now, because of Patreon and because of like members and stuff like that, we can be a little more bold now in what we choose because we do have a larger audience now, which is really awesome. So, you know, we're not so like hamstrung or in fear of like things out of the norm anymore. We do like to, you know, experiment. And so that you guys allow us to do that now, which is freaking awesome. But no, like, like a lot of times when we're choosing something like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, like those are gimmies, right? Like those are shows and those are franchises that are like, yeah, the audience is there for whoever wants to do them. You know, you just hope you vibe with that audience and they like you and your video should do well. But yeah, it's the other stuff. It's like the smaller stuff where it's like, you hope you can get like that in and people enjoy what you're doing. Right. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing with the gaming. Like, you know, do we think people will watch this video after we're done streaming it or whatever? If the answer is yes, then we'll probably do it. If it's no, then, you know, it'll probably just be streamed on Twitch and never see the light of day outside of that. Who are the people working behind the scenes? What do they do, if any? So we have a handful of editors. You know, I don't want to necessarily name names because I don't know who is cool with being named and who isn't. So, you know, we have our hardcore homies, you know, we try to take care of, and it's been with us for a hot minute now. My sister does the social stuff for Billy, Ends the World. You know, a lot of the stuff you see behind the scenes, like scheduling on the pod or on the website and stuff like that. That's Bree. You know, she does a lot of our back end stuff. And so if it's like a quick edit, like a YouTube edit, if our editors aren't available, that's stuff we do ourselves. Like you'll see certain thumbnails, Ruff did them. You'll see certain YouTube videos, I edited it, you know. It just really depends. Like a lot of the early stuff before we really got editors, like Eric for a while did a lot. Like he was doing some thumbnails. He was editing some videos. Like boy was putting in the work. Because me and Ruff still had like our like when we kind of first all got together, like mine and Ruff's main focus was still our solo channels. And so like Eric kind of like picked up the ball and ran with a lot of stuff early on. So it was good to, you know, get him help where he doesn't have to do it anymore. How do you feel about Will You React Play questions? Is there a foreign Patreon tier? No, we don't do Patreon tiers. Me and Ruff did it on the solo one. And like after a while, it gets cumbersome. It is very much like an albatross where it's like, hey, like you never know what you're going to find, and that can be a good thing, but you got to get it done, you know? And all of a sudden you have given yourself like, and he was like me, he didn't put a limit on it at first. And one month when I knew I had to change it, I had like 60 requests I had to do, and that's 60 different like shows. That's not one show, 60 episodes. That's one episode of 60 things. And after that, I was like, okay, like I can't. It's too hard. And like you kind of get lost in the weeds. And the thing is, like if it's a monthly thing as well, and you only watch the one episode, then you're going to the next month where there's literally a month in between you recording that last episode. So a lot of times you're going in, you're like, oh my God, I know what happened, but I do not remember anyone's name. And so like sometimes I would have like, you know, the character names like over here so I could remind myself like, okay, yeah, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, right? And like the thing is too, that's not really fair to one, the community, and to the show, because if you need a cheat sheet to remember the names, you know, or a table to remember the names, you know, you're not getting out of the show what that person's getting out of the show, and it just becomes a revenue stream that is just that, you know. And you feel like you're cheating yourself out of something good. So it kind of becomes like this thing that's not worth it in the end. Especially when I was still on my main channel, I was always my editor. I was always my thumbnail maker. Like I never hired anyone outside of me. What's the experience of, this is from Noah. What's the experience of creating your own webcomic bin? Any stories from development? So it was one of those things that I think this is Ruff's baby. Like I'm not going to pretend that like I'm sitting here and I was there from inception. This is something that Ruff kind of came up with. I'm the creator of a lot of the characters. I got the receipts, Ruff. Don't you try. But no, like I've come up with a lot of the characters. And you know, a lot of the story beats are like Ruff as far as the script goes. Like I let Ruff write the script. I let Ruff write the storyline. And then I go behind him. One, I fix his spelling. But two, I punch it up. I take like, you know, I'll take like a scene that he wrote, right? And I'll be like, what if this is in the background? And he'll be like, yeah, I like that. Or I'll be like, okay, what if this character is doing this? Or I'll add to the dialogue. I'll make a joke in the dialogue. Like I'll add something that would like deepen the personality of the character, right? No, about knocked over my desk. So it's one of those things that like he'll write the original script and then I'll punch it up. I kind of like flesh out the world a little bit more. And that's not saying like, ooh, like he writes a very bland script and without me, it would be very boring. Like, no, he writes a very good script. I just make it better. And you know, Eric also kind of does the same thing, right? Like, you know, we kind of, when we spitball ideas, we kind of write things down. We have some possible side stories coming. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but we got some cool stuff in the pipeline with that. But no, it's also like nerve-wracking, right? Because there's always the hope of like, there's stuff that we watch that we don't like. And when we say we don't like that stuff, a lot of people get mad at us because they're like, how could you not like this? And like, you know, we're going to have the same thing happen to us, right? There was a guy or girl or whatever that were like, I don't like the characters because I feel like they're too feminine and I think they're gay. I don't even know what that means. Like, what? Like they look too fit. Like one is a giant golden retriever who's yoked, and you think they're too feminine, brother? What? And so it's like, we've gotten feedback like that. And there's other people is like, are you furries? And it's like, no, it's like saying like, is the guy from Regular Show a furry, right? I like animals, man. I ain't trying to hump them. I just think it's a cool world. And I think what we've made is a cool world, but there's people that don't like it. Right. And that's like, it's not nerve wracking in that regard, but like you have to kind of like ready yourself for the idea of like, man, people are just gonna be like, yo, this sucks. And you have to be cool with that because like, you have the same thought about other media. So, as someone from Western North Carolina, I'm curious, what do you miss the most since you moved, and overall, do you prefer living in Texas to living here? This is from Cube Pylum. So also from Western North Carolina, the Piedmont area, a little bit north of Charlotte. I miss cheeseburgers and hot dogs all the way, which is slaw, onion, mustard, chili, and slaw, mustard, onion, chili, stuff like that, right? I miss that. Dear God, I miss that. I miss like more diner-based food. A lot of franchises out here, not so many mom and pop shops where I'm at. There's a ton where I'm from, which is mostly where I ate. Liver mush. It's mostly food. Right? But I do miss the mountains a lot. It was always nice, just randomly driving. You see mountains all the time and hills and da-da-da. And North Carolina, I do like Texas, but like I'll always love North Carolina. Like once we're done with Sort of Stupid, I'll probably go back to North Carolina. No, we're not going to be done anytime soon, hopefully. But no, my plan is to retire in North Carolina or be one of those old people that go to like a coastal state. Well, North Carolina's a coastal state, but no one wants to live on the coast of North Carolina unless when you got a lot of money or you got a kid in college. Has there ever been a moment where you wanted to punch someone hard enough to knock them out because of something they did? This is from Cole Ramiro on the Patreon. Yeah, man, I'm human. Like, it's one of those things, like, somebody gets you mad enough, you want to choke them out. It happens, It happens. Let's see. And this is Zavulu, also from Patreon. If you could have dinner with someone real or fake and ask them one question, who is it? What are you asking? And where are y'all eating at? I like that. Real or fake? And ask them one question. That's hard. God, I don't know. Cause like, it's one of those things that, it's like the person I would want to talk to the most if possible is my grandma who passed away, but that's not an answer no one wants to hear. So it's like, man, dude, you know what? Kobe Bryant. Let's get Kobe back for a minute. And honestly, I would just show him everyone's reaction after his passing, and just show like how important he was to a lot of people, right? And where are we eating at? Wherever Kobe wants to eat at. He's back for a little bit. I'm giving him the choice. Your channel's called Boom Sentai. Does that mean you watch Super Sentai or other Tokusatsu shows? Yeah, back in the day. I was a big Power Rangers fan. I grew up loving Godzilla and King Kong and Harryhausen movies and stuff like that. So those are things I would 100% want to show the guys one day. All right, back to the podcast, YouTube. This is from Lois. Hi, you've mentioned books that you were reading on one of the podcasts. That sounded really interesting. What's the best book you've read this year, and what's the most interesting? The best book I've read this year, it feels like a bit of a cheat, but it's The Killing Joke, the Batman story. Really good. I really enjoyed it. What's the most interesting? It would be the book Botany of Desire by, I think his name's Pollan, Pollan. And essentially what that is it's a discussion on the coevolution of plants and humans, to where we think so much that we control nature by what we choose to do with nature, right? Whereas maybe it's possibly nature in its own way controlling us for its own gains. Not in any sort of like duplicitous nature, just that it is a cohabitance of different goals that works for both parties. You know what I mean? It's collusion. So essentially, like, the idea is a good reference, I think, or a good point they made in the book is that acorns are incredibly nutritious, but they are super terrible tasting to humans. But squirrels like them. And since squirrels eat them and use the bathroom in other places, the acorn has never needed to change to fit the taste of humans because other animals eat them and move the seeds around to where they'll grow other places and survive. So they don't need to change. Whereas things like apples, the cool thing about apples is, and they discuss it in the book, it's something called heterozygosity, which is if you cut open an apple, there's like a pentagram, right? There's 5 seeds in the apple. And I didn't know this. And so the cool thing is each one of those seeds is a different kind of apple that's never been an apple before. And that's insane to me. What's even more insane is that every apple that is in the grocery store is essentially based off 10 original trees that have been kind of changed and evolved or changed and bred to be a specific taste. Because a lot of apples back in the day were what were called spitters. And that's where apples were so bitter that you would bite and spit them out. And I think that's so cool because, like, you see apples now, there's like my favorites like Honey Crisp and Fuji and Red Delicious, because those are just like the really sweet apples. I like those. I don't like Granny Smith or like yellow golden apples or anything like that. Parents love them. But it's one of those things that, those are all based off of trees that have been bred to taste better. And then like there's like the way they get those trees to grow more, because once again, of the heterozygosity, you can't have like the same tree from a different seed. So you got to take a piece of that tree and essentially kind of plant it into the trunk of another tree and let it grow from that trunk, which is just fucking fascinating to me. And like the Chinese started doing it like 10,000 years ago. It's not even like new. It's the science that has been around for a long, long time, which is awesome. And it's just stuff like that, the problem with books like that, and the problem I have with books in general now, is that a lot of times they say the same thing in a different way, and it's like ordering from Taco Bell, right? It's the same 5 ingredients, just in a different shape. And I don't have the time to sit and like regurgitate information, or sit and be an audience to regurgitated information. So it's like I want to continue reading something new as I'm going along. That book likes to revisit the same points in different ways. I'm all for different perceptions, but after a while, it's just like, bro, you made the point. You don't have to keep selling, so I talked way too long about that book. It's a good book, but yeah, Killing Joke was probably my favorite just because like I said, I saw the movie forever ago, didn't remember shit about it. This added like context to what memories I did have. If you could bring, and this is from Matt, also on the podcast, I think this is the podcast. Yeah. If you bring back any series to the schedule, what would it be? Avatar. Immediately. Avatar. Mostly because I would love to watch and see the things that we may have missed in the first run. Also, we watched that show when we were separate. A lot of people early on were like, man, these guys don't pay attention enough. They don't pay attention enough. And yeah, we are some goofballs. We don't pay attention sometimes. We get into our own conversations because of the ADHD. It happens. But what a lot of people don't realize when we were recording separately is that Ruff being like the one streaming the show for us to watch when we're halfway across the country, there was a delay. And some days it wouldn't be too bad. Some days it'd be a second and a half. So Ruff would already be laughing, and me and Eric hadn't seen what happened yet. And so like that would create like this weird disconnect where there might be a conversation on stuff that none of us like know what necessarily part we might, so a lot of times like we would fill in the blanks naturally. We never did it on purpose, but like with conversation, I think it works to our favor that we do that kind of thing. But that was the disconnect sometimes. So I'd love to redo Avatar. What's your favorite? And this is from Davey. Their second question is, how do you meet the rest of the crew? Sort of Stupid. We already did that. What's your favorite part about being part of Sort of Stupid? You guys. It's one of those things that we get to show up to a job that is my dream job that I fucking love and entertain people. Of course, we get the comments, you guys suck, you talk too much, the fat one is dumb, he tries to be smart, da 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 da. I don't care. We've gotten so many nice messages, so many people saying like we're a part of their day. That means the world to me. Like people laughing at the jokes I make is crack to me. Like I would rather hear someone laughing than anything. Like people laughing is my drug. And I love making people laugh. So I get to do that every single day. This is from Mudkipper. How did you start your career in content creation? So it was oh God. So in 2013, me, my cousin, and like a friend started a podcast. You cannot find that anywhere. I obliterated it off the internet, so do not try. And I am dead serious. Like, it is nowhere. Like, it's not like, oh, boom, boom, it's an Easter egg. He wants us to find this. No, it is gone. It is bye-bye. It was really bad. But we did a podcast. We started streaming. That we broke up because they all wanted to do different stuff, and one of them had kids and shit. And then I started streaming on Twitch, mostly because, like, dude, no one around me played video games like I played video games, and there was no one to talk about video games with. So I just wanted to be somewhere where people wanted to talk about video games. It was more to make friends and be around a community than have my own community, I guess. And, you know, going from that, like I started getting a little bigger over time. Then I switched to Mixer and got really big over time. That died down, so went back to Twitch. And, you know, then I got part of Sorta Stupid, but mostly just started with streaming and writing, actually. Like, I used to write movie reviews. That's why people are like, you don't take a deep dive into these movies. I could. I just don't want to. I'd rather be dumb. I like being dumb. Dumb is fun. This one is from Lord Windshark. I like that name. A simple one. What's your favorite type of ice cream and toppings? Cookies and cream, no toppings needed. It's cookies and cream. It's already there. The ice cream itself did all the work. How do you guys decide when a show from Patreon goes on to YouTube? This is from Scott Plush Productions. We never do anything with the idea is going to be Patreon only. Everything we do has the intent to be on YouTube. We might start getting into something and be like, bro, this is no way going to succeed on YouTube, i.e. Mad God. We tried it for an hour, immediately took it down. So everything has the intention of going to YouTube, you know, especially episodically or the movie. If it doesn't work episodically, well, that's when the binges start. This is from Dingy. Is the Billions the World comic going to ever be animated? That is the plan. That is the plan currently. We just don't know when because it is very, very expensive. So very expensive. This is from Cross Sands. What is your least favorite vegetable to use? Celery. Celery. Easy. It's water with hair in it. It is disgusting. I've never, anyone that likes celery, I immediately have a mild distrust of you. You have to earn back my trust. I'm not saying I'll never trust you again. I'm just saying we're starting from a place of work. Celery is just gross. I don't get it. You know, I know you can put peanut butter and raisins on it to dress it. You can church it up, but your name is still dirt. You know what I mean? It's so nasty. God, I fucking hate celery. Mostly because, I like in soups, in like meat pies and stuff, it kind of like blends in with everything, so it's fine. Like celery very much like is the Homer Simpson vegetable of like going back into the shrubs when it's around other stuff. But by itself, like we did like a juice cleanse one time, and celery was the base because it is mostly water, right? And that and cucumber overpowered everything so hard, I couldn't drink it. It just made me gag. It was so gross, dude. Blech. But yeah, thank you, Cross. Jen Reedy. Do you guys plan on reacting to sitcoms at some point? Oh, yeah, of course. The Office is on there. All of us have seen The Office several times over. If you guys want us to still watch it, I don't think we're opposed. So this is from Kane Nightingale. When you called Ruff Sweet Pea, would you like that to become Ruff's official nickname? Yes. Call him Sweet Pea. This is from Captain Snake Charmer. Thank you for your service. Firstly, I want to say you guys have all helped me through a very tough year, so genuinely thank you for that. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. As a question, Sean has mentioned that's me, a handful of times, Doctor Who, a handful of times recently that I've noticed, and as a Goblet Fire now has Ruff. Any chance Sorta Stupid watches Doctor Who, 2005 Christopher Eccleston onwards? Yeah, we would love to. Eric's never seen it. I would love to show him Doctor Who. This is from Robin Brown. You have a large collection of movies, actors, and shows. Maybe they meant knowledge? Have you ever had interest in working in the entertainment industry, or was pure admiration that you just know so much? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I've always wanted to be a comedian. Well, I wanted to be a professional baseball player at first. Well, before that, I wanted to be a Triceratops, but that didn't pan out. But then I wanted to find a job that would make people laugh. There was a few other things about like, how I started in content creation. We kind of got into that too. Like actually one of the earliest stories I have, me and my cousin were playing, it was something on Dreamcast or it was Halo or something like that. And capture cards did not exist at the time. So how we did it, because it wasn't HDMI, it was like the old red, white, yellow cables, component cables. We would feed the Xbox or Dreamcast through a VCR, through another VCR, and record it on tape. And we were just doing that one day, and like we were just goofing off and like recording and watching the playback of it just because we could, right? Like it was new. It was like something we've never done before, and it was awesome. And like I have this like memory now of like looking over at my cousin and be like, dude, what if this was just a job? And that's how I invented streaming. But I remember saying that to him, and it was like that, there was no idea of like YouTube was not a thing. This is 2000, 2001. YouTube wasn't a thing till 2007, 6. And, it was just very much like, what if this was a job? And it would be so cool. I can't sing. I can't act. So in that regard, I never had plans. I liked writing and I liked making people laugh. So I never tried anything in that regard. Like I never like walked up to be an extra or anything like that. Would I want to now? Probably more. Yeah. Like just for the experience, just for the fun. Like I don't think I'm the next Brad Pitt, more of a Shrek kind of guy. Like if they need that in human form, I'm your man. But no, it's one of those things. Like I think it would be fun, but it's one of those things now. Like it was never a plan. Like I just enjoyed stuff. My dad loved movies. Like he's not a very emotional guy. I'm empathetic, but I'm not overly emotional, I would say. And so like a lot of times movies is how we would connect. And that's that, so there is like emotional attachment to it. People wanted me to do some top 10 lists. And that is one day we'll do top 10s, like as a video itself, I promise. What do you guys enjoy doing outside of YouTube? I like reading, working out. I know it's hard to kind of tell. I just enjoy lifting weights. We like doing all the things friends do. Like, I love playing poker. I love, when we do watch something or play games together. Gaming is something that I played Rivals with Bree and Eric last night. I suck. They're really good. And it makes me realize I should probably never play that game again. This is from Theo's the Chosen One. Sup, Big Shungus. Big fan. You are shamelessly my I'm going to say favorites, here. I don't want to make the other guys jealous and girls. I have 3 questions, if you don't mind. Out of all the Ninja Turtles, who is your favorite? At this point, Leonardo. Being the leader is a thankless job. Leonardo kind of becomes your favorite turtle when you get older and you realize, like, man, his job kind of sucks, especially when he's the boss of teenagers, when he himself is a teenager. Is Regular Show in your top 3 or at least top 5 animated series? I would say most likely top 5. Top 3 would be American Dad, Futurama, and American Dad, Futurama, and King of the Hill are probably my top 3. I know I'm forgetting other stuff, so yeah. Have you ever recovered healed from the Popeyes bathroom incident of 19? Dude, traumatized forever, never getting over it. PTSD every time I poop. All right, let's go back to Patreon. Oh, this is from Hentai on Patreon. What is the pettiest thing you and your sister have fought about? Brother, that chick's personality was somehow crafted in the bowels of hell and put into a little girl. The pettiest thing we've ever... Dude, we fight now and we're adults over petty shit. It turns into a burn war until someone's feelings are actually hurt. Dude, I don't know. My parents, we did not have a lot of money growing up. And my parents saved up and went on this cruise one time. And I don't know what the powder keg was. But my parents were gone, and it was just my incredibly small grandma who was watching us. And, bro, it popped off. I don't remember what started it. I don't the only memory I have, one, we were throwing dinner knives at each other. But the last memory I have of it is my grandma's hands around my waist, holding me back. Because that was at the age, she is 4.5, 5 years older than I am. So of course she went through all the growth spurts before I did, right? Like, and use that to her advantage mercilessly. So like this had to be like, I was in 5th grade. So like I was starting to get a little bigger. Not yet. You know, I a lot of my growth spurt happened like over a year. I went from like 5'2" to 5'11" in like 13 months. So but I mean, we're brother and sister, man. It's all the fights are petty. Like I don't know of any, like don't get me wrong, there's some messed up people in this world. But out of all the normal brother and sisters, like, but there's probably a good chance we got ADHD and a touch of the tism. So our fights get, you know, we're very open people, and you know, our fights probably get a little more heated than a lot of other people's. But we're still brother and sister. Like it's your normal brother and sister fare. It's all petty. She licked my chicken nugget. You know, he ate my fries. Why'd you steal my shirt? There was $3 in my wallet. Where's it at? You know, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure if you have a brother or sister and you are the younger one, which I am, you know, you have your own war stories. Like, I don't feel like I'm special. I don't feel like I'm special here. Just, you know, you know, we're battle worn, right? We're ready. We're ready. Ben from the Patreon. Ben, the roughest week. I'm sorry about that, Ben. Any advice for someone trying to keep spirits up during the dark times? Hope you guys had a good Christmas. I like the idea of holding on to, you know, what made you feel good before all that, right? You know, what was the memory before that did make you feel happy? And you know, we all experience life-changing events and stuff like that. And you know, I kind of sticks with me the saying, it'll be good again, but it will be different. And I think you just have to find the good in that. Like, is that an easy answer? No, right? Like, but I think it's one of those things, like, especially as you get older, you have more to pull on than you realize. And I think it's also important to realize the effect you have on like the world around you. Like, people, you know, you maybe hold true to the idea of like you told a stranger a joke one time and made them laugh on their bad day. That stranger still remembers you. You know, something you told someone 5 years ago when a friend was having a bad time, that friend remembers that thing you said. They might not ever say that to you because like it's in their own subconscious, but the effect you have on people in the world around you lifts their spirits up. And I think you should be able to use that to lift your own spirits up, and that you probably have that effect in the world. You know, as long as you are a net positive, I think that's something to hang on to. Let's see. What do we end? Somebody, would you react to? The answer is maybe one day. This one for Ruff, even though it says at the top, boom solo Q&A. Got to read, y'all. Come on now. This is from Logan. What are your thoughts on the new cast members of One Piece live action casting has been killing it. You mentioned before on the podcast that you used Kick to stream. That is someone that did not understand us and is mixing it up with Mixer. We used Mixer. I've never streamed on Kick. If memory serves, this is from Isabella Sosa in relation to Sammy. If memory serves me right, you mentioned being into football, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts on baseball? Isabella, you must be new here. Do you have a favorite team? If so, what's your favorite team? And who is your favorite player on said team? I am a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I do love baseball more than I love football. Favorite former players on, I say former, Paulie is gone. Arenado is going to be gone. Like, we're rebuilding. So I guess if I say current player, I'd probably say like Win. You know, Tommy's gone. Fucking Yachty and you know, Unk retired. So, you know, we're in the midst of that rebuild. It hurts a lot. Also, tying into the baseball theme here, what do you enjoy more, pitcher's duel or offensive explosion? Oh, growing up, I would have said offensive explosion. Show me home runs all day. But I also grew up with the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. So on a daily basis, I got to see Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Greg Maddux pitch with like people like Mark Wohlers and Steve Avery and people like that mixed in. I was spoiled. I was so spoiled, and I didn't know it at the time, where you saw, you know, Greg Maddux won like 4 Cy Youngs in a row. Like Tom Glavine has a couple. John Smoltz has one. And you don't realize how lucky you are, right? It's like, you know, watching LeBron play right now, and it's you know, people 20 years from now when he's retired are going to be like, what was it like watching him? And like, you don't realize how much you take that for granted. So I honestly, a pitcher's duel now. I love seeing dudes just rock it. But thank you. Yes, baseball is my favorite sport. Do you think, wait, This is from RJ Hop. I did not, none of these questions, by the way, I like say, oh, I'm going to answer that ahead of time. This is from YouTube. Do you think you guys would be friends as primates? What kind of primate would each of you be? Which primate version of you wins in a bloodlust fight? I would be a gorilla. Ruff would be like one of those howler monkeys. Eric would be the big wide-faced one, like the smart one, like the ones that seem like they got thoughts behind their head. Who would win in the bloodlust fight? Me, easily. Like it's not even close, dude. I would gorilla pound them into paste. I love them though, so I'm not going to. This is from Fright Night. Boom, Seahawks fan here. My apologies. Can you explain what strength of victory tiebreaker means? Yeah, so strength of victory, hey, welcome to Sport is Stupid. So strength of victory tiebreakers mean when you're trying to make the playoffs, usually, there's like levels. You have like your division winners, then you have like your wild cards. And the wild cards are, of course, the ones that have the better record that didn't win the division, right? The best record who didn't win the division becomes the wild card that gets into the playoffs. So to get into the playoffs, if you have a lot of teams that have the same record, say a lot of teams are 9-8, it goes into different levels of stuff like that. Strength of victory is like the teams they played and their schedule. Say the Seahawks are a wild card team. And the teams they played schedule, like I'm not going to do the math here, their team's schedule was they won 60 games and lost 45. So their strength would be 60, a 60-45 schedule. Say that the Packers were in the wild card and they had the same record as the Seahawks, but their strength of victory, and this is like after several other layers. I think scoring is involved as well. That's somewhere. Because I remember the Panthers and Packers did that like in the late 90s where they had just put up a fuckload of points against each other. But say like the Packers' strength of victory is a weaker record than the Seahawks, then the Seahawks would go to the playoffs. That's what that means. So essentially, it's just like how good were the teams that you played. Okay, let's go to the other YouTube. Picks for who's making it and who's winning the Super Bowl this year. This is from Dova fan. It's the Chiefs. I only need to pick NFC. We'll say Bills. Chiefs are going to win. It's just the Chiefs. They're 15-1 right now, man. And it's like, come on. Joshua, what's your favorite dessert? It changes. Right now, it is cheesecake. I love cheesecake. All right, from Zelly Bunny, and this was a question I received a lot. Are you still single? Very. Incredibly. So, thank you for the question. I work a lot. China asked, what encouraged you to start this channel? I didn't. I was asked to join, and I said yes. They put a ring on it. This is Binde or Rora Noah. What do you recommend to young adults who are trying to be professional YouTubers? Make videos. It sounds stupid, but get it out there. That's the important thing. Put your voice. Like, your videos aren't shit without you saying something. Get it out there. Keep doing it. Get better at it. Like analyze. Figure out once you start making money, if you start making money, actual money, get an accountant. Dead serious. That's not financial advice. That's just life advice. Like let people who know things about other things that you don't know about. I guess that's the advice. Know what you don't know and diverge. This is from Lisa. Lisa Beloved. Yeah. Where did the name Boom come from? So one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie, is Army of Darkness. And if you know that movie, you know the famous scene of "This is my boomstick" as he holds up the shotgun to scare the medieval peasants. And I like making people laugh. So instead of my boomstick, I changed my name to my boomstick, SHTICK. Incredibly difficult for so many people to spell, even though I thought it was going to be easy and clever. I should have probably just been my boomstick on Mixer. And so as it went along, it went from my boomstick to Boom Live to Boom. And that's it. And it kind of works because, I got a bit of a thundery voice. But yeah, that's where that comes from. It's, not necessarily magical, but, it was neat. What's your favorite genre of video game to play from Firechat? Action adventure. Legend of Zelda is my favorite series of all time. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time. Yeah, a good number of what's y'all's future plans, where the name Boom come from. Do you plan on reacting to the Superman trailer anytime soon? No, we are in like a YouTube probation thing where our videos don't get pushed until 3 days later. And unfortunately, trailers are hype reaction viewed videos. So if you don't get the views day one, you're not going to get the views at all. So unfortunately, doing trailers right now is just a no-go for us. Prod asks, who are your favorite music artists? Personally, Bob Dylan, The Misfits, Green Day, Offspring, Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang. Those are a lot of my go-tos. This is from Missouri Love. Sean, I always wonder why you wear St. Louis Cardinals merch. Here we go. Are you a fan of them? How did you become a fan? I'm from the St. Louis area. I immediately hone in on St. Louis merch when I say it. Yeah, I am a Cardinals fan. I mentioned that earlier. I love the Cards. How I became a fan of them when I am just a humble farm boy from North Carolina, a yokel, a redneck. So the way my little league was like Pee Wee League, our teams were like whoever sponsored us. So like our name was literally just whatever company bought the shirt. And then when we got to Little League, we were actually, where I played, we had like professional jerseys. They were just t-shirts with professional logos ironed on. And I played for the Cardinals. I played for the St. Louis Cardinals. So for 2-3 years, I wore a St. Louis Cardinals uniform. I had the red stirrup socks. And so like, it's one of those things, like I fell in love with like the logo early on because I was, when I was 6, because my dad always had me play in whatever level I was supposed to play at and also the level above. And so like, yeah, I was always in like a Cardinals jersey, Cardinals hat, and I just got really attached to it. And, like the team has so much history from Ozzy to Stan Musial and Bob Gibson and, stuff like that. So there was like, once I started learning more about the game and the history, there was like a lot there to fall in love with. And it just stuck with me. If only we could rebuild to former glory. I think we're actually closing in towards the end here. Sally Jones, do you miss North Carolina? Yeah, of course. I love North Carolina. A lot of issues there, but I still love the state. People, places broke my heart, like Asheville and Chimney Rock and all that got swept away from the hurricane. I grew up an hour and a half from there. I had buddies that lived right on the edge of it. My sister, like where she's at, lost power for a little, it was worrying. And it made me realize too how much I do love the state and love being from there. I don't really take, I'm like one of those people like, I'm proud to be in America. Like, I don't think you should necessarily take pride in geography. Like, you can't help where you're from or born. But I feel like you can take pride in the idea of like places and where you're from and how that shapes you. So, just take away the entitlement. And yeah, I love the place. I love that apparently Ruff just possibly answered this one question for me in text. Let's see. Who's the strongest in Sorta Stupid? Probably me, I guess. I mean, Ruff probably has that dad strength. Eric's got a devil behind those eyes, I can tell you that. But, I guess if we were doing feats of strength, I would probably win. I think they both bring their own, strength to different things. Favorite dinosaur, Triceratops. Sean Griddle, Triceratops. Anime ranking, One Piece is number 1. Overlord's in there, Trigon's in there, Hunter x Hunter's in there, Attack on Titan, of course, is in there. My Love Story's in there, that's right. Dude, when I'm put on the spot, Black Clover's in there. I've never seen Naruto, so if you want to make that comparison, I don't give a shit. I've never watched Naruto. I've watched like one episode, don't remember what the fuck happened. Another question from Lisa, what is your astrological zodiac? I think I'm Sagittarius. So, yeah, I don't know what that says about me. I've never really delved too much into astrology. Hopefully that means good. So if I'm a Sagittarius, tell me what that means about me. Karma. Well, somebody asked earlier about people that work for us. Karma, who's our longtime editor and homie. What's a top show you'd love to convince the other guys to watch, but they haven't budged yet for one reason or the other? Brooklyn Nine-Nine's up there. I fucking love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean, the thing about the guys is if I sit them down, because this is what happened with Don to Don and Squid Game. Like, I sat them down. I'm like, we need to watch this. And they were like, okay. Like, I think, like, if I pushed, they would do what I say. But I'm one of those, like, if it's like, well, we're kind of constrained for time. I'm like, that's fine, man. Questions. This from Blur Blizzard. What culture has the best food to you? Mexican food. Top 5 shows or movies you've done on the channel. I'm loving Harry Potter. I love Lord of the Rings. Regular show, Avatar. I mean, dude, like we've done so many good things. Owl House is up there. You know, I did Gravity Falls on my own, but it's up there. Who is your favorite quarterback to watch in the NFL currently from user lots of letters and numbers? That's a good one. Favorite quarterback to watch currently. I mean, Josh Allen has a frickin' rocket. Jaden Daniels looks like he's him. Bryce is finally coming along. My man's throwing darts. Incredibly proud of him. Yeah, I mean, I think those are my favorite 3 to watch right now because, like, Bryce's growth is really starting to become impressive. Jaden Daniels, bro, had like, 5 scores the other day? I mean, you got Lamar Jackson as well. Like, you know, dude's got a cannon. I think he literally just set the rushing record for quarterbacks in his 7th year. Bro's got a lot of time left. Like that record is going to be demolished. But yeah, you know, it's a mix of all those guys. Do you own any pets from Aiden? Yeah, I got 3 dogs. Let's go back to Patreon. This is from Deathy Shy. What is your favorite movie of all time? Probably like Army of Darkness. Kung Fu Hustle's up there. A couple of others that now that I'm put on the spot, I can't think of. Puffy Boy, how about those Chiefs? Shut up. What should the Panthers do this offseason from Sniper? Oh, we got to help Derek out on that front line on defense. Like we got to shore up the offensive line as always. We gotta toughen up that defensive line. We need a better backfield. The linebacker core is getting old. More or less, like we need another, like that's the problem. We need another running back to help Chuba. Like I like my man from Texas, but like he's hurt again. We got to shore up the offensive line. We probably need another receiver, someone that's probably like a slot receiver or something like that, someone to help out XL and Thielen. Like we got to shore up the defensive line. Like I said, linebacker core needs work and backfield needs work. Like, bro, I would say we are probably another 2 or 3 years from an actual team. Unless Dan Morgan makes the kind of moves that just like blows minds, we might be cooked, chat. We might be in still a little trouble for a couple of years. Let's see. Christian Curtis. I love how accepting y'all are as sort of stupid, especially you. Thank you. Were you always this way, or did something happen in your life that made you think differently? As a gay man from the South, I've been called everything besides a child of God, and it just fills my heart with hope when I see straight cis men be allies. So I've never disliked gay people or anything like that. I was never a bigot towards gay people. Like I had friends that like you kind of knew they were gay, but they hadn't come out yet, but it was the vibe. But like any other kid who's an idiot, I obviously used the F slur like it was water. I called things gay all the time and stuff like that. What changed is that I worked with my first job, like I worked construction and stuff like that with a buddy of my dad's. So yes, that was a real job. But my first like job around the public at large, I was lucky enough to work with a trans woman. They never told us they were trans. The only way we found out is their parents came up to us one day and they were like, "Have you seen our son Brian?" And we were like, "Bro, no, Brian works here." And I'll make up a name for her. Jessica walked up and we were like, oh. And so Jessica was cool as shit, man. Like, it's like, why would I have beef with that? They did what made them happy. And in no way did it affect me. So that was the start of it, of a large, and I was very young. I was a teenager. It wasn't like this was 2 years ago. And so that was the start of it being like, oh my God, like, it's just a decision that they make that is right for them. And Jessica was much older. And so apparently more newly transitioned, and something they did later in their life. So I'm sure was an incredibly difficult decision for them. Then when I worked at Media Play, I worked with 2 gay guys every morning. And it was just me and them. And they were some of the coolest dudes I ever got to hang out with. And one day, still being a stupid kid, we were talking about something and I went, "Oh man, that's gay." And luckily, like I said, they were the coolest. And they, and my man had an incredibly effeminate voice. He had the flamboyant voice, right? And, one of them was just like a dude you would never have guessed. The other one, you didn't have to guess. And that was the one that was like, sweetie, you know, like verbatim, they went, sweetie, that's the problem. Not enough is gay. And in that moment, like, bro, they could have got me fired. They could have got me, they could have done so much to give me guff, to give me issues. But instead they used that as like a learning lesson because they realized, one, I'm a friend. I don't actually care that they're gay or not gay or anything like that. Two, it's a learning opportunity for a kid that just needs to quit saying that. Right. And like, I haven't said it since because like, it's just one of those things that like in the idea of saying it, like I've never wanted to disrespect those two people again. So I quit saying it, you know, and that was once again, like, that was probably my biggest learning thing, you know, being like understanding like, oh yeah, like, you know, these words do have like a certain power and like the thought behind like saying it's just a word is silly in that sense because like it does have an effect and I don't want to be that person to make someone else's day worse, especially once again, like I said, what they're doing is in no way affects anyone else. They're not stripping the rights away from people. So it's one of those things that, yeah, like early on, of course, I was a stupid kid from the South, right? And I had to learn and I'm still learning, you know, it's one of those things that like, I don't think you can ever be like, I am perfect. I have nothing left to learn. Like I know, like, you know, there's anything else, man. Like it's still just a process and doing the best you can. And like, I don't even like, I don't know. I feel like calling myself an ally is like patting myself on the back. Like I did something, you know, you're welcome, gays. Take that, depression. You know what I mean? I feel it's kind of, I feel like it's something I don't need to be pat on the back for. It's just allowing you to live your life without me being an asshole about it. All right, we got time for one or two more. How old is Boom? Because y'all always say he's 70. I'm 70. Dude, way more questions, by the way, than I thought. Once again, are you single? That's popped up so much. There we go. We'll end on this one. Well, we got two more. All right, Cole. Will there ever be a Sorta stupid Onlyfans? Hey, man, we get in the kind of shape where we feel comfortable to do it and we think it'd be successful. Why not? Why not? And this one, last one, Alicia Marie. What made you want to pursue a career in what you do now? Like I said before, I've always just liked making people laugh and YouTube happened and Twitch and streaming and all that happened and it was a dream and you guys allow me to live a dream every single day. So, yeah, truly grateful for that, man. And just very appreciative. Honestly, making people's day better. That was something I always wanted to do and my goal. And I always wanted to do it in some form of media, some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the Q&A. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. As always, check out Billy Ends the World comic. It's on Webtoon, Tapas, all those things you like to read. You know, if you want this early, Patreon. If you want all the videos, yeah, do the stuff, do the things. But as always, I love your face. Be the joy.